Let's see. We are in Luke 15. Luke chapter 15, verses 1 through 7. And as you can tell from the hangman leaves the 99. This is the parable of the lost sheep. Some of you may have heard it before, some of you maybe not, but it's a beautiful picture. It's not as, we've been over some parables that require maybe a good amount of interpretation. Some say this, some say that. This one's a little bit more straightforward, but it's a really good message. So Luke 15, 1 through 7. Can someone read it?
I'll read it.
Thanks, Mike. Nice and loud.
Tax collectors and other notorious sinners often came to listen to Jesus teach. This made the Pharisees and teachers of religious law complain that he was associating with such sinful people, even eating with them. So Jesus told them this story. If a man has 100 sheep and one of them gets lost, what will he do? Won't he leave the 99 others in the wilderness and go to search for the one that is lost until he finds it? And when he has found it, he will joyfully carry it home on his shoulders. When he arrives, he will call together his friends and neighbors, saying, "Rejoice with me, because I have found my lost sheep." In the same way, there is more joy in heaven over one lost sinner who repents and returns to God than over 99 others who are righteous and haven't strayed away.
Thanks, Mikey. All right, let's just start with this. Some of you farmers could help with this. Let's just list some characteristics of sheep. Okay, not what they look like as much, but what do they do? What are they like? Sheep.
Don't they always look at the ground?
Dumb. I would agree with that one, Jackie boy. What were you saying, Land?
I'm pretty sure like they're always like they never really look up. They're kind of
They're
just
just like,
staring at the ground the whole time.
okay,
Tasty.
staring at the ground. They're tasty.
Relaxed and nonchalant.
Let's just say they're checked out. They're just
Yeah,
like
pretty much.
unaware, maybe.
Mentality.
What? Who said tasty? Who was after tasty?
Relaxed and nonchalant.
Yeah. Chill.
Defenseless. They're chill.
Tabs, what'd you say?
Herd mentality,
Herd mentality. What does that mean?
following. They follow just
Follow.
whatever the rest of the herd is doing.
Follow the leader. That's a good one right there. What else?
They have an excellent sense of smell.
Do they now? Okay. Do you know that? That's a fact? I can smell good. That doesn't really, we'll write it down though.
They poop a lot.
Smell, not them, whatever, you understand. They poop a lot, alright, we'll leave that one out. How about this? They can't find their way home. So if you take a sheep away from its herd, put him out maybe a mile away from his pasture, he's not gonna know how to get home. So he's directionless. Okay. The herd one, that was really good, Tabs. And they need help. They need help and direction from a shepherd. So they're reliant. And they struggle to find their own food. As you remember in Psalm 23, it says, "He leads me behind still waters." And they need to be still, because if they're rushing, sheep are actually so skittish. If it's rushing waters or it's a little babbling brook, they won't drink it because they're scared of it. So still waters. So they need someone to help them. Hey, here's the water. Here's the pasture. So that kind of goes into reliant. We'll just say that one. But overall, this is the one that reigns supreme. They don't see the big picture, and they don't really know what's going on. And that is why we are being compared to them here. So it's a bit of a roast, but in the grand scheme of things of eternity, we don't know what the heck's going on. Jesus is in control, and he is obviously the shepherd here. So let's just talk about this real quick with the guys next to you. what stood out to you, and then we'll bring it up in a couple minutes from this story.
I think a big thing that I got from it. What do you guys think? And I think if you stray away from God, like he's not gonna turn your back against you, or turn his back against you. I think he'll always. Obviously. So that was pretty cool.
It should be Luke 15.
Yeah.
And like he was saying, like wandering, if the sheep were to wander back, you know, there's no limitation, I think, in the story, there's no limitation to how far the shepherd will go to retrieve the sheep that's lost. You know, like he leaves the 99 to go save the one sheep that might be 100 miles off, like it doesn't specify. But it's like God's love extends, and he wants us to be dependent on him. And so it's not like the shepherd is like, oh gosh, you know, I gotta go find this sheep. Like he's like, no, I gotta go find my sheep. Like you know, maybe he has a name or something. But he's like, I gotta go find him. I gotta go bring him back.
Yeah.
So I think
All right.
that's really good.
And start with the first thing you said. I heard it.
Around your feet.
You said, all right, and
So the first thing that popped in my head was the story of the prodigal son, about the guy, his son asked for all of the riches and all of his inheritance and everything at one time, takes it, goes, wastes it all on prostitutes and drinks it away and does everything like that, and then when he comes back to his dad rejoices, tells him to go get the fattest sheep, whatever, goat, whatever. And then the other son gets all mad because, father, like, I've been here this whole time, doing all this and everything, and you've never done anything for me. And it was kind of just thinking, like how, it's just, they're more happy just to have one saved and I guess just one be boring his whole life and not really do anything. I don't know.
yeah, it's very
I
consistent.
don't really know. I kind of got there and got
No,
lost.
dude, that's exactly. I mean, I love that. It's very consistent with Jesus' character. If you see here in verses 1 and 2, now the tax collectors and sinners were all drawing near to him being Jesus. And the Pharisees and the scribes grumbled. The Pharisees and the scribes today could be like self-righteous people of the church. So back then there were people who, they were like, we're holier than thou. And you can see it right here. They're like, why is he hanging out with these unrighteous people? Like, he should be hanging out with us. Like, they have this puffed up stuff going on, and like Jesus hates it. And he goes off on them several times. And so these scribes are saying, this man receives sinners and eats with them. Like, he shouldn't even touch them. And if you look literally right across the page, later in the chapter, it talks about the parable of the prodigal son, which is what Henry just referenced. And the reaction of, number one, Jesus, when he receives the one sinner who returned, is the exact same. He throws a party for him. He tells all his friends and neighbors and says, rejoice. And also the reaction of the self-righteous person is the same. And in the story that Henry was talking about, the prodigal son, the older son is pissed because he's like, Jesus, you never did anything for me. I've been here this whole time. I'm whatever. And the scribes are kind of saying that same thing. So that's a great correlation there. Who else? I heard you talking about some good stuff.
I love what Henry just said too, referring to the prodigal son, and and how it ties into this is the prodigal son kind of highlights how long the father is willing to wait on his son, whereas this highlights the idea of there's no distance in which God won't go after the one who's lost. You know, it doesn't, similar to what you said about if the sheep were a mile off, like it wouldn't be able to find its way home. It doesn't specify how far the sheep may wander, but I would, based off of God's character, even if the sheep were 100 miles away, the shepherd would still go after the one.
Mm.
So you have that God will wait this long for you. It's nearly limitless, is limitless, and the distance he'll go to retrieve you is also limitless.
Mm. Who else?
I think also in the sense of like, say someone has 100 kids, so they're all children of God. They leave it your own children, like, not that just like, that they're not rejoicing for those people, not that they did not do anything with their life, but you don't want to miss any one of your children, you don't want to have any of your children leave, you don't have any of your children abandon you or anything like that, so you're always going to rejoice, no matter how big, no matter how small, how long, how short, they've been gone, you would rejoice for them to come back, so, I think something like that, where even if they had all been saved before, you rejoice for every one of them, it's all small victories, they're all victories.
No doubt. I love it, man. For me, I don't know, and probably for a lot of you who've come to Christ, this is a very relatable story. And like these things we listed about sheep, it's funny that Jesus relates us to them. It's kind of disrespectful, but it's kind of true. We don't know we don't know what's best for us. The only reason we do is because of this. If we were without this, man, we're hopeless. We're just like these sheep. And so, for me, in my life, I just picture myself, man, like, Jesus was coming after me, like Chase was saying. I was that one sheep who, I can only imagine where I was going. I was going through the woods. I was trying to find food. I was trying to find, like, meaning. I was trying to find some still waters. But I was going through the forest. I was getting cut up. I was getting scratched everywhere, and I was upset, and I don't know what's going on. I'm like, what? They told me that food's somewhere over here, and I'm just like wandering. I might be chewing on rocks. Like, I don't know what's going on. And the whole time, Jesus is watching me, man. He's like, I'm right here. I'm right here. Like, just come to me. And I just relate with this because he saved me. I didn't save myself. None of us did. He loved us so much that he's going to hunt us down and leave the 99. And that's the most beautiful thing. Because if you think about it, man, like there's a whole lot of people who are like the self-righteous people. And God's saying, like, y'all are good. I'm trying to. God so loved the world. God didn't just so love the churchgoers. He loves everybody. And so you can imagine, man, like how much he rejoices over the fact when he finds one person who has left, who's lost, and that was me. And I just picture him picking me up, brushing me off, he puts me over his shoulders, and he walks back, and he's like rejoicing, and I'm like, let's go, because like I found, someone cares about me, someone loves me, someone wants to put me back with my herd, and it's just a beautiful picture, man. But yeah, this is my testimony. And if you look back in verse 7, just so I tell you, there will be more joy in heaven over one sinner who repents than over 99 righteous person who need no repentance. At the end of the day, like we've hit on, man, like Romans 3:10 says, no one is righteous, no, not one. So if you don't feel like the sheep, man, you are. We are all unrighteous without Jesus. And so just a cool parable to keep in your back pocket. We've been over a lot of them, but I felt this was so important to go over. So remember that, man. And some of y'all may know the song, leaves the 99. Corey Asbury? Yeah. So that's where it gets it, man. So now y'all know that term, the parable of the lost sheep, man. It's a beautiful one. So let's do some prayer requests before we pray. And
by the way,